Tunataka Maraga ajiondoe. Hata kabla tamu yake ishe ajiondoe. Tumechoka kama wananchi na hatuwezi vumilia tena.
Some of the 41 persons recommended for appointment by the JSC are serving judges. The fact that His Excellency, the President, has reasons to believe they should not be appointed to higher offices. Parliament embarks on a process of amending the Constitution, specifically section of Chapter 10, to entrench a process of vetting of all the current serving judges and magistrates. That the vetting be conducted soon after the retirement of the current Chief Justice, the Honorable Justice David Maraga, which constitutionally will be on or before 21st January 2021, amends the Constitution to provide for such vetting every 5 years to ensure that the sanctity and integrity is restored in the judiciary.
We can't assume that one event of sanitization made the judiciary permanently sanitized. To end corruption in our courts, we must sanitize the judiciary.
Elsewhere, Tana River Governor Dado Godana has hit out at a section of politicians from the region who are allegedly keen to meddle in recently introduced village cluster program. Speaking after a tour of the ongoing construction of homes under the program, the county chief maintained that the project will provide a long-lasting solution to locals residing in flood-prone areas.
Tana River County Governor Dado Godana wants politicians in his county to desist from injecting politics into projects aimed at benefiting locals. Godana accuses a number of leaders from the area of inciting communities to oppose the implementation of the 3.5 billion village cluster program.
Kuna watu wengi ambao wanapinga katika Tana, lakini hawajaelewa, na wanasiasa karibu kawaida husema mambo, lakini tuambianeni ukweli.
Speaking after a tour of the ongoing constructions at Handapia construction site, the county chief said despite the good gesture, some politicians have resolved to oppose what is meant to transform the livelihood of the locals.
Sisi tunabadilisha mtindo wa maisha peke yake. Hatuzuii mtu kuendelea na maisha yake ya kawaida. Hapana. Lakini tunaomba serikali tushikane ili tujenge makao ya kudumu kwa wananchi.
The governor saying the aim of the project is to offer a long-term solution that will provide infrastructure and other essential amenities to all communities in the region.
Tunataka suluhu. Kama mtu ana maoni tofauti, hatukatai. Njoo na hayo maoni yako, useme tunataka iboreshwe hapa, iuze hivi, ifanywe vile, ili mambo yaende sawa. Lakini mambo ya watu porojo, fitina, ambayo haina kazi tumeishi nayo miaka mingi, tuache.
Governor Godana wants all leaders to provide alternative as opposed to dismissing ongoing projects. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
Elsewhere, residents of Madari slums in Nairobi have benefited from 30 water tanks as efforts to cushion vulnerable communities from the adverse effects of the coronavirus pandemic. The water tanks that were distributed by Water and Sanitation Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki were donated by World Vision Kenya.
As the number of positive COVID-19 cases in the country continues to surge, the government and stakeholders have intensified efforts to mitigate the adverse effects of the pandemic. Water Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki taking the initiative to Mathare slums as the government seeks to reach vulnerable communities residing within the country's informal settlements. Speaking while inspecting the Mathare North water supply project at Mathare North Chiefs Camp, Kariuki lauded the efforts of the government and other organizations of setting up various wash points that will help fight COVID-19 pandemic.
It means, therefore, working together we are able to do so much more within such a short time as has been demonstrated with the emergence of the COVID pandemic.
Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director General Major General Mohammed Abdallah Badi said they are committed to providing water to meet the demand in Nairobi, noting that the water tanks donated by World Vision Kenya will go a long way in supporting efforts aimed at cushioning vulnerable communities from the adverse effects of the coronavirus pandemic.
So our duty is to ensure that we have the proper infrastructure in place to ensure that we provide water in excess of 800,000 cubic meters per day.
The Mathare Water Project will supply 220,000 litres per day to 12,000 people residing within the region. In the meantime, Kisii County government has recommended actual food donation to disaster victims who had been displaced by floods as opposed to giving in kind. During phase 2 of foodstuffs distribution, County Emergency Response Committee urged well-wishers to hand over humanitarian assistance to authorities and not money for onward channeling to the beneficiaries.
I'm asking all the cases of goodwill, not only cases but those residents in Kisii County, those people, anybody who would want to support the county will be very happy. And we do not want money. We want, if they can give us in any form, in any food form, so that it can be distributed to our brothers and sisters who are just getting back to normal, but we must support them since the rains are subsiding.
Area Governor James Ongwae announced distribution of over 40,000 kilograms of maize and beans to about 1,022 families hard hit by mudslides and floods. Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Channel 1 News.
Elsewhere, about 400 women who were evicted from Kirisia Forest in Samburu County have benefited from blankets courtesy of the Samburu Women Representative Mason Leshomo. The women are part of families left homeless following the evictions at Tamioe area of the Kirisia Forest and are often forced to go hungry or even sleep out in the cold.
One after the other, the women received the blankets from the Samburu Member of Parliament, Mason Leshomo, after camping at her office. The women, being part of the population evicted from the Kirisia Forest, say majority of them are yet to be integrated into the society and are without shelter and food.
Jua sisi nalala kwa nyumba ya mtu na hakuna pahali naishi na manyumba yetu nimeimaliza kwa moto. Unajua sasa kitu moja, sisi hakuna pahali naishi, mbuzi peke yake, hakuna pahali naweka kwa mtu moja.
They are calling on the government to resettle them on another piece of land, saying they have been forced to depend on their neighbors for shelter.
Mungu iko, lakini ngalieni sisi. Chakula hakuna sasa, sisi iko njaa. Mambieni serikali, paeni sisi pahali kidogo ya katu, pahali kidogo tu. Kwa shauri sisi ni mkoa maskini ya Mungu.
Wanahangaika, wanaishi kwa majirani na mvua inawanyeshea mahali walipo. Na sasa hata tunahangaika sana tukijaribu kuwapatia chakula kidogo yenye tunapata.
About 700 people were evicted from the forest, with Samburu Women Representative Mason Leshomo pledging to keep assisting them, even as she called on well-wishers to come on board and assist the vulnerable population.
Nikatafuta malasi na blanketi kidogo wapate kufunika nayo watoto kwa sababu ya baridi, na ni wakati pia mvua inanyesha kwa sababu bila wametoka forest sasa wana manyumba, wanajaribu kutafuta namna sasa ya kutafuta manyumba pia ya kuishi.
Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
At about 17 minutes past the hour, we want to take a short quick break now. When we come back, more news.
Joel mzee alikuwa huko pete na wakaongea na bibi yangu wa Yune sana.
Nataka uwe macho, mtazame kwa makini sana.
Ai. Nani? Kwani watanimaliza?
I didn't know you were coming.
Wacha nikaangalia wa Yune.
Sawa.
Naona wako wote hapa Anafanya nini hapa?
Hilo jambo itabidi umuulize kama wewe mwenyewe.
Nitamuuliza, lakini pia nao usisahau kitu moja. He'll always be loyal to us.
Kuna kasi anafanyia Kirisi. Kuna venye hao wawili siwaamini.
Sipendi kuomba.
My name is Maringa Jeremiah. I'm a Paralympian. I play para-badminton and para-powerlifting. I take this opportunity to thank the government of Kenya through the Cabinet Minister of Sports, Culture and Heritage, Ambassador Amina Mohammed, for cautioning us athletes during this trying moment of COVID-19. This money has really helped me personally. So, okay, I've been able to pay to the Likidogo, and I've been able to do small shopping, which will be able to push me in the next 1 month. I am glad and happy that the government of Kenya is going to caution me in the next 3 months. Thank you, and I pray that this will continue even after COVID.
Welcome back. Of course, remember you can always interact with us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 and at Aoko_76 as we move along with the bulletin. Now, 4 legislators drawn from Isiolo County have distanced themselves from remarks made by County Governor Mohammed Kuti on alleged irregular procurement of ICU beds from a private facility for use at the county referral hospital. Led by the county senator Fatuma Dulo, the leaders are accusing the county boss of issuing a statement that was contrary to what was agreed during a consultative meeting.
During the press briefing, Governor Kuti had intimated that the County Criminal Investigations Officer had thoroughly probed the matter of alleged irregular procurement of ICU beds from a private facility for use at the county referral hospital and concluded that the said beds were actually bought from Mission for Essential Drugs and Supplies and not from a private hospital operating in Isiolo town. Kuti welcomed relevant investigation agencies and the DCI to arrest him over the matter if indeed he was involved in any malpractices.
Sisi tunakubali kama county government kufanyiwa oversight. Tuko tayari. Lakini kutengeneza njama ambayo si ya kweli. Alafu kuinua kupitia mtandao, kuinua kupitia magazeti. Iko serikali ya DCI inafanya investigation. Iko EACC inafanya investigation. Kama sisi county government tunafanya makosa, hiyo arms za serikali yote wako tayari kutushika na sisi tuko tayari kuwa accountable.
The legislators who left the briefing by the governor and convened another meeting accused him of issuing a contrary report to what had been agreed upon during the meeting.
Lakini yeye akipiga kelele akisema national leaders wananipiga vita, wafanyi oversight ni which hunt? Why do we witch hunt him? Does it mean we don't have any work to do? Tunamuwitch hunt? Ama tunatweet the whole night kumtafutia kosa? We don't have time. Labda yeye ndo ako na time kama hiyo.
They asked Governor Kuti to await the county last week to probe the matter, adding that the DCI was also yet to issue a report on the matter.
When you are in leadership position, you must be accountable to the people, whether it's through the county assembly or through other means. Kwa hivyo ukiulizwa swali haimaanishi ya kwamba unapigwa, ni vita. Na mtu akiulizwa swali basi hajibu swali. Kama hutaki kujibu swali basi usiwe katika public position, because in this public position you must be accountable.
Governor Kuti has accused the legislators of witch hunt. Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, the coronavirus pandemic is challenging health systems across the globe with increased demand for healthcare services disrupting delivery of critical supplies. And as the country battles the pandemic, Kenyans continue to experience other health challenges, a situation that has left community health services a critical pillar in ongoing efforts.
Come up with guidelines
We are calling them continuity of community health services guidelines, which are outlining how we can still carry out community services in the context of COVID-19. Because initially when COVID-19 struck the country, we were not sure whether community volunteers could still continue doing the household visit. There was stigma, there was fear, and so we said that if it wasn't possible for a community volunteer to physically visit a household, they could use a telephone, mobile phone, reach out to them, find out what they are doing, and so we are now doing a mix of physical household visit and also mobile phone communication, so that community volunteers are constantly in touch with the households that they are assigned to take care of, either through phone or by physical visit, whichever works for them.
A section of seafarers in Mombasa are decrying what they say is poor pay and exploitation in the maritime industry. The seafarers are accusing ship owners and companies of flouting labor laws and underpaying them.
Speaking to the press in Mombasa, the group lamented that foreign shipping lines and ship owners were exploiting desperate Kenyan seafarers. The group says that for years, local seafarers have been forced to work under poor conditions of service and receiving undeserving pay due to lack of a wage standard for those in the sea service.
Union ulegevu wake wako katika maslahi yao wao wenyewe union. Kwa sababu union aiza sikizana tajiri, huyu baharia pengine alikuwa apate $1,000. Union akaambia wacha wapatie $500. Ile 500 union ikachukua.
The seafarers proposing that local cruise service ships calling at the port of Mombasa, as happens in other jurisdictions.
Chama kimezembea cha union kingekuwa na utaratibu mkubwa, ingekuwa leo sisi hatulii, ingekuwa leo sisi tunasifu. Lakini sasa kulingana hali tunayoiona, COVID imeingia 19, sisi paka dakika sasa tuko chini.
The group now wants the Kenya Maritime Authority, which is in charge of regulatory oversight over the Kenya maritime industry, to address the issue of unequal and poor pay in the industry. Yusuf Farah, Channel 1 News.
Now, a man in Busia drowned after he allegedly threw himself into Lake Victoria trying to escape arrest. According to eyewitnesses, the 31-year-old fisherman was running away from Ugandan maritime officers who were in pursuit of his fishing boat.
Seoport Beach, Samia Sub-County in Busia. Residents and fishermen are saddened by the demise of one of their own. 31-year-old Victor Ouma is said to have jumped into Lake Victoria in a bid to escape arrest by Ugandan marine officers who were in pursuit of his fishing boat. Angry residents are now accusing the Ugandan authorities of being behind the demise of Victor due to harassment of their captives in Lake Victoria.
Sisi wa Kenya tuko na corona na hali wanakuja mpaka kwetu kutuchukua sisi wenye tuko na corona kutupeleka Uganda, kisa na maana ya kwamba sisi tuko na.
The residents further blamed their Kenyan counterparts for corruption and failure to protect the local fishermen.
Hatujui tuko Uganda ama hapa ni Kenya, kwa sababu jambo likitendeka ukitaka kupeleka mambo mbele yanafifia tu na inaisha hivyo. Kama watuambie kama tuko Uganda, basi tubaki Uganda, tujue sisi ni wananchi wa Uganda.
The body of the fisherman is yet to be located. Yusuf Farah, Channel 1 News.
Elsewhere, the World Health Organization says a testing of hydroxychloroquine as treatment for COVID-19 has been halted after new data and studies showed no benefit. According to WHO, the trial of the malaria drug had found the drug did not help COVID-19 patients. More than 8.4 million people have been confirmed to have the new coronavirus globally, according to data compiled by Johns Hopkins University.
The World Health Organization has disclosed that it has halted the trial test of the drug hydroxychloroquine to treat the coronavirus. According to WHO, recent trials showed that the anti-malaria drugs does not result in the reduction of mortality of hospitalized COVID-19 patients. WHO experts said investigations leading the testing of the drug, which had been prompted by US President Donald Trump, had reviewed recent evidence and decided to stop recruiting new patients. This coming as the US President said the United States will not close business again, even as several states reported rising numbers of new coronavirus infections. The disease has so far sickened 2.2 million Americans and killed over 119,000. Peru has overtaken Italy with more than 240,000 confirmed cases to become the 7th worst hit country in the world. The rising toll in Peru confirms that Latin America has now become the epicenter of the pandemic, and that while some countries are easing restrictions, the global pandemic is far from over. Countries including China and Germany have renewed lockdown measures in some areas following emergence of new clusters of cases. Meanwhile, India has registered 2,000 deaths in the last 24 hours, taking the death toll from COVID-19 to 12,274. The number of infections surged to more than 368,000, making it the 4th country in the world with the highest number of infections. Elsewhere, researchers in Israel have invented a reusable face mask that can kill the coronavirus with heat by drawing power from a mobile phone charger. The disinfecting process takes about 30 minutes, and users should not wear the mask while it is plugged in. Globally, more than 4.4 million people have recovered, while over 451,000 have died, according to data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
Indeed, it is time to transact. Borrowers with active non-performing loans should liaise with their financial institutions to restructure their loans to avoid being listed at the Credit Reference Bureau after the 6-month grace period offered by the government lapses in September this year. Metropole Group Managing Director Sam Omukoko says despite this directive, borrowers' profiles are still active and there is need to mobilize updates to harmonize the credit information systems.
About 16 million borrowers with active loans are being encouraged to update their Credit Reference Bureau profiles by restructuring their loans to accommodate the 6-month loan repayment amnesty offered by the government. Metropole Group Managing Director Sam Omukoko said the directive halting the listing of defaulters by credit reference bureaus due to the slowdown of the economy occasioned by COVID-19 has broken down the credit sharing information system and might affect the financial sector if no proper records are put in place.
The bureau need to be informed that you have agreed with the bank that the facility that they have given you is on deferred payment terms, and therefore we should take cognizance of the fact that there's a period for which you're not going.
Since March this year, when Kenya confirmed the first coronavirus case, lending has declined by 25% due to uncertainties over borrowers' ability to service loans.
Risk point of view, it then becomes a serious challenge for a bank to commit to a new loan when they do not know whether this customer will be there in 2 months or in 3 months to be able to service the loan. And because of lack of that information, what we saw was almost a total freeze on the requests that were coming to the Bureau.
Credit reference bureaus are eyeing more collaborations with fintechs to come up with more innovative ways to combat identity theft. Credit reference bureaus have listed about 3.2 million borrowers in Kenya. Benson Rioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Now, the government has set aside 1.7 billion shillings for the upgrade of 18 kilometers of road to bitumen standard, as well as tarmacking and recarpeting of various roads in Thika Town, Kiambu County. The project will be undertaken by the Kenya Urban Roads Authority with the aim of giving the industrial town a facelift and unclogging traffic within the town, which is blamed for business slowdown in the town.
Thika Town remains as the main commercial center as well as a seat of the Thika sub-county of Kiambu County and is externally serviced by an 8-lane superhighway, a highway to Garissa and the rest of the northeastern region, a highway to the Central Highlands and a railway line. As such, the intended facelift of the road infrastructure is a welcome move from the commercialized town.
Hizi barabara zetu hazijawahi kufanywa recarpeting tangu wakati wa municipality, lakini sasa tuna furaha na tuna hakika hizi pesa zikikuja, barabara zetu zitakuwa nyororo na zitakuwa za kupitika.
Kenya Urban Roads Authority has earmarked 700 million shillings for tarmacking and recarpeting of various roads in the busy town.
What we are doing today is a site appreciation, which will follow up to, will be taken to the planning stage. From there, we can know how many kilometers will be covered and to open up various roads. That is, I've talked from the junction of Thika Road to Garissa Road, and then the one from Gatanga through Blue Post to Thika Road.
Roads that will be recarpeted within Thika town and its environs include Commercial, Cross, General Cargo, Haile Selassie, Harithuku, Kenyatta Highway, Kwame Nkrumah, Magoko, Bull and Mamangina. Further, 1 billion shillings will go into the rehabilitation and upgrade of 18 kilometers of road from Gatwanyaga Junction towards Monyo via Githima and exit at Kangoki area, making it the first tarmacked road in Thika East region.
And the kind of road that we are doing there is a very key road because it's going to provide for the transport of these stones. So we are going to make a very firm road, with a road that can be able to withstand pressures of 20 tons and above.
Tungetaka yule contractor mwenye anapewa avetiwe na ikuwe na engineer wa serikali mwenye atakuwa anawafuata akiona chenye wanafanya. La sivyo tuwaambiwe sisi kama wafanyabiashara na wakazi wa Thika tujiangalilie na tukue makini, tukiona kuna taswishi tupewe ile namba tunaweza piga, na mtu mwenye tunaweza pata tumwambie hapa jua tutaki hii kilio kuisikia tena. Kama pesa iko ifanye ile kazi inastahili kwa sasa na ikae miaka 10 na zaidi.
Regina Manyara reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Meanwhile, a section of farmers from the North Rift are opposing the recent restructuring process the government has initiated at the National Cereals and Produce Board over what they say is unlikely to end misdeeds at the board. The farmers, through their unions, are now mobilizing to petition the government, saying that their woes have so far fallen on deaf ears.
According to farmers in Yosingishu, Nandi, Trans Nzoia and Elgeyo Marakwet, they have sold more than 8 million bags of maize to middlemen who are paying them between 2,800 to 3,200 shillings per 90 kilogram bag. The farmers say while they are satisfied with an average of 3,000 shillings per bag from the middlemen, their efforts to do business with the National Cereals and Produce Board has been curtailed by cartels.
Watoke sehemu zetu hizi. Watoke hapa, watu wale wanajua ukulima, wale wanajua vile mbegu inalimwa, wale wanajua vile mahindi commercial inalimwa, watoke Trans Nzoia na Wasingishu. Ukifanya hivyo utakuwa umetusaidia. Kuliko kusanya watu, mtu anatoka tu huko msitu nyingine ajui, mtu anaenda kujiita TN Director of National Cereals Board. Tunaomba kabisa kwa heshima yenu muhakikishe ya kwamba tumefanya haki imekamilika kwa mkulima.
Speaking in Cherangani, Trans Nzoia County, the farmers demanded for removal of the board of directors for what they term has been an abuse of office and unfair business practices, and have now vowed to petition the country's legislature.
Tumeona National Cereal Board afadhali funjuliwe mbali. Hata mwaka jana wakununua mahindi yetu, na ifunjuliwe mbali na iletwe back to wakulima. Hata sisi kwa saa hii tuko tunajaribu kutafuta signatures tupeleke kule parliament, wabunge wenye wana support wakulima watusaidie hiyo National NCBB irudi kwa mkulima, kwa sababu wakora cartels ndio wanafaitikia sana kwa NCBB.
The farmers say they will no longer depend on the institution to sell their produce, while at the same time accusing Agriculture CS Peter Munya of doing little to solve problems facing maize farmers in the region. Allan, Aoko, Channel 1 Business.
Indeed, welcome back. If you're an entrepreneur, especially on the digital space, this conversation will interest you, because today we have Peter Mushemi, who is the Managing Director of Megashift Technologies, who is going to, tell us more about how the digital space is and e-commerce in general related with the COVID-19 pandemic right now. Peter, perhaps you can tell our viewers, how is the digital space at this time, especially that revenues are going down and things still look a bit bleak?
Thank you, Alan, for having me. So first of all, I can look at what is happening in the society. We are being faced by a pandemic, COVID-19, and businesses have changed. So we are used to brick and mortar businesses where we visit the businesses physically. But since the government has issued restrictions in terms of movement, we're also having social distances, and also we have cessation of movements. So that is making it hard for clients to reach out to businesses. So one of the things that is happening currently in Kenya particularly is e-commerce is picking up very fast, whereby businesses are developing e-commerce websites, whereby clients can be able to order items online. So another issue that is happening is we have cloud computing. So we realize some of employees are stuck at home. They cannot be able to access their offices. So cloud computing is basically where offices are able to access their information on cloud. So we have what we call collaboration tools like Zoom. So employees are able to collaborate, and they're also able to access information from any location.
Well, indeed, speaking to that, you've spoken about policies as well. What we're seeing right now is an implementation of even a tax. Given the digital space in Kenya, we can say the government is saying that there's still a lot of money and we can still tap into the business of e-commerce. But on your end, you'd argue that it's still a toddler. The e-commerce space in Kenya is still a toddler. What will you say to this new development by government?
Well, I saw that move and I was quite surprised, because if you look at e-commerce space, it's still a baby in this country. The adoption rate is below 30%. And you look at most of the companies that are in that sector are startups. So introducing a tax means their services will have to ask for more money. That means that cost goes to the end consumer, who is a client. So what that means is when you're looking at ordering of services, if a client is ordering a service and they'll get, they'll get their services online, and what will happen is affordability will be an issue. So looking at the adoption of e-commerce system, if clients cannot be able to access, because of one of the reasons we use e-commerce is the convenience. We have convenience. We also have the cost. But now, since the government is bringing on the tax issue, what we are going to do is, as companies who have e-commerce sites, we are going to take that cost to the end consumer. So that will discourage the innovation. And if you look at Kenya is positioned as the tech hub of Africa. So it is going to even discourage investors from coming to invest in this country. So I believe paying taxes is the right thing. But at this point, it will not be the right thing until this ecosystem is sustainable in terms of all players concerned.
Well, we have seen the government come back to that and also say that we have two folds of stimulus packages for various small businesses in the tech space and beyond. One is that one that will help the business come out of the COVID-19 period, and then we have the other that will assist, the businesses that have a higher turnover. Would you say this is the right direction, even as companies now say there is COVID and there is this tax? How will that go forward?
Well, yeah, that's a good move by the government to give a stimulus package, because if you look at the statistics, they are saying that majority of the small businesses and medium enterprises will die by the end of this month. Why? Because if you look at their cash flow, clients are not paying, so the services they are offering are not, are not being needed anymore because people don't have purchasing power. So the only problem that you are facing as startups and IT companies is the transparency. Who will get this money? Which criteria will be used to give this stimulus package? Because once the information is released, little is done to make sure that the right people or the right companies have access to these funds. Otherwise, it will still be, a story of, where did the money go and who got that money. But it's a good initiative, and I'm sure the companies that will be able to get that will be able to maintain, because you look at more than 1 million Kenyans right now don't have jobs. Why? Because they have put on unpaid leave. Some of them have been, fired because companies don't have money to, pay them. But this fund will be able to help companies pay them for the period that the COVID-19 is going to last. Again, if you ask me, this is not a lasting solution. We need to look at the root cause of the problem so that we can actually give money that will be able to solve the problems you are currently facing, even in the long time. Because we are not, we don't have, or rather we are not aware of how long this COVID-19 will be. So we have to look at the long-term solution so that even if that money that is going to be given to these companies, even if there comes a point whereby it will be, all of them will be used, then we can be able to also come up with other income-generating activities when that time comes.
Indeed, even besides these challenges of access to credit, I'm curious to know, how are companies right now, especially the ones that are in the space you are in, how are they doing their continuity? How is business continuity right now as we move along this difficult period?
Well, Alan, like you are saying, this is a new normal. And for us as technology companies, I think for the last 1 year I've been working remotely. So to tech companies, it's not affecting us to a greater extent because we're able to collaborate, we're able to work online without a lot of hassles. But the problem is other businesses that were not online. You look at that local shop in town that didn't have any means of getting clients from cloud. You realize those businesses have greatly been affected because if you look at the COVID-19 effects, so some of the big losers are companies in tourism, companies in the transport industry, companies in horticultural industry. But if you look at the winners are like e-commerce sites, tech companies, and all that. Why? Because companies have realized the importance of technology, and they are ready to engage tech companies. So in my space, we've not been affected that much because we are having business continuity in terms of the clients that are coming in and all that. But looking at business continuity, how are people changing, or what is the new norm? People are working from home, what we are calling remote working. So what is needed for remote working? We need cloud computing, we need the right infrastructure, we need the right tools for collaboration and all that. So you realize that if the CIOs or the CTOs of those companies had not foreseen such a scenario coming in, then what is happening is most of them are not able to, access each other. Most of them are having issues with business continuity. But the good thing is we are having these tech companies who are coming on board and helping these businesses to, continue operations through technology. And that is what Megashift have been doing for the first few months. We've been helping a lot of businesses go online and therefore having what we call continuity and mitigating the risk of closing shop at the end of the day.
Well, finally, let's say I am on the digital space. What's that final word you'd give me as a small business who is looking to venture into that space? What kind of advice would you give me? Should I go on with the business or should I wait out the COVID-19 period?
Well, We are not all, we don't know when this COVID-19 will end. In fact, World Health Organization advised us that we must learn to stay with it. And what I can tell the businesses out there is technology is indispensable. It's inevitable. This is something you cannot avoid. And for you to be at in the competitive edge, or for you to have a competitive advantage, you have to adopt technology as early as yesterday. And by that, I mean either getting an e-commerce shop online so that your clients can have a point of contact whereby they will be able to give you orders, and you'll be able to have that what you're calling business continuity. Another thing is for adapting cloud technology, so that in case it's managers, you can be able to monitor your employees even when they are working at home. Otherwise, if you don't have all these tools, then it's going to be hard for your employees to be productive. And at the end of the day, even post-COVID, you'll find it so hard to recover. Another thing I would maybe want is the government to intervene and help startups in this country for a stimulus package. We saw that the other day there's a stimulus package that was released by the government. Even when the budget was read, a lot of money was injected into technology and CT because it's one of the enabler that will help us achieve our Vision 2030. So tech startups will come up with innovations that will drive these changes in the economy. So I think that will help a lot in terms of nurturing this ecosystem and helping young companies grow.
Indeed, thank you very much for your insight, Peter Mushemi, who is the MD of Megashift Technologies. We've just been talking about the e-commerce space and the digital space and how to navigate the headwinds during this time. But right now, we take a short break. We come back with sports. Indeed, welcome back. It's time to play. Now, Arsenal head coach Mikel Arteta says his opinion on retaining David Luiz at the Emirates Stadium has not changed despite his disastrous performance in the Gunners' 3-0 defeat to Manchester City. The Brazilian, introduced as a first-half substitute for the injured Pablo Mari, was at fault for 2 goals in the loss at the Etihad and was sent off after being on the pitch for the 25 minutes. Here are the results from last night's action from all over Europe. Interesting results there. Now, Napoli defeated Juve 4-2 on penalty kicks after a barren draw in regulation time in Rome to secure the Coppa Italia title. Juventus goalkeeper Buffon saved his team several times in regulation, including twice in added time, but it was not enough as Juve missed its first 2 spot kicks after regulation. Paulo Dybala's penalty was saved by Alex Meret, while Danilo, taking the second spot kick for Juve, sent his shot over the bar. Napoli made all 4 of their attempts to shut the door and take home the coveted domestic cup. It was a night to forget for Juve coach Maurizio Sarri, who was facing his former team yet couldn't get the better of them, losing his second cup final with the team after losing the Italian Super Cup to Lazio earlier in the season. Indeed, that's all the time we had for you today here on KBC Lunchtime News. I'd like to also thank our viewers who are also interacting with us on our social media platforms. We have at iRay, and we have Ivanzo, Emetet, and the Maestro, among others. My name is Allan Aoko. Our sign language interpretation has been done by Byron Abuli. We will meet later on and continue staying with us as we move along through other subsequent bulletins. Goodbye for now.